I know a lot of people are intimidated by 30-minute YouTube videos, but it's really the only way we can get through this piece of shit. Because these chapters, while fairly short, have a lot of problems with them. Now, when we last left our so-called intrepid heroes, they had crashed their ship and smack dab in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle, next to an underwater pyramid that one crew member said was the center of Atlantis or something like that. Now, a good book would try to explain the situation further, like talking about the culture of Atlantis or the crew's reaction to being in Atlantis, maybe getting out of the ship and being greeted or something. I know they're underwater, but hey, it's Atlantis. It's science fiction. Why not have them be able to breathe underwater or something like that? But let's see how this abysmal turd of the devil does. Yes, I just stole that quote. 8 middle-aged men sat around an oblong table in a cedar-paneled conference room, their foreheads furrowed with the urgency of the situation confronting them. A few men were taking notes from a lecture currently in progress given by a bearded member of the austere group. Okay, we're going with the meanwhile approach. Not very good, but hey, this is a piece of shit, so what can you expect? Other panel participants stared at the speaker with a glazed look in their eyes. Then what are they doing at this meeting? They appeared concerned over the futility of a very difficult situation. What, so they're concerned and bored at the same time? How's that possible? Finding the unknown enemy in their midst was the task at hand. What, so there's a traitor or something? Maybe someone's invisible? Or, well, hey, anything's up to the author at this point. The members were downcast, if not outright pessimistic about the problem. The room, made safe from emissions or sounds of any kind, both ingoing or outgoing, was suddenly disrupted by the swift entry of a messenger, who passed a worn leather briefcase to the chairman. The very old and apparently experienced courier then exited via the same door used for his entrance. As soon as he disappeared, security was again carefully checked by 2 inside guards. Security was checked after they had already checked him in? Why? Why would you need to double check? And it's a bit late for that. If the briefcase had a bomb in it, wouldn't you have noticed it by now, you idiots? After assuring themselves that all locks and bolts were in place, the door was barricaded and the final combination lock set into place. The council chairman confirmed the gravity of the situation under discussion and summarized the threat. Oh, so we don't get to hear it? The best and most reliable instrumentation created by men had been used to identify and locate the strange force afflicting millions of people on the borderlands of the Atlantic Ocean. When the chairman asked for commentary from the group, he received some unusual replies. A Mexican delegate of Mayan descent remarked that his ancestors once foretold the return of strange creative forces that had stimulated the golden age of the Maya in the past. Okay, so one member is crazy. Well, at least one member. His theory was that these forces had returned to the Earth as ELF waves. Well, if these forces could come in any form, why would they choose ELF waves? And wouldn't it have been ELF waves in the past anyway? Other members of the group listened politely to this rhetoric, but with obvious skepticism. Well, no shit. The concept seemed remote and almost illogical compared to the serious issues at stake. Several delegates then offered more rational theories about the source of the ELF waves. Ooh, even the author thinks that the crazy Mexican guy is onto something, because she put rational in quotes. I don't know if you can see that by now, but right there. Okay. However, none of their ideas had relevancy and were simply set aside as educated guesses, not based on hard evidence. Finally, a woman delegate from Czechoslovakia, well respected by her peers, stated that everyone had to acknowledge the inevitable. Mission Atlantis, their last hope, had failed. Okay, I guess the author is trying to put herself into this story as a female delegate from Czechoslovakia. Therefore, the woman suggests, okay, it proved to be a useless tool for uncovering the source of ELF. ELF waves, whatever, I'm done with that. Therefore, the woman suggested that the committee immediately sanction the use of the Prometheus, the largest known computer in the world, to unearth the source of the waves. Okay, so can we explain the Prometheus now? Ooh, we are. Prometheus was designed to create a symbiotic link between brilliant human minds and cyberspace. Okay, so it's kind of like this uplink device, and I guess I have a feeling that it'll fail or something, because in all science fiction that is used as kind of device, it's failed miserably, or the people have gone insane, or people have been trapped in cyberspace due to it, or something like that. It's always failed in some way, so you just know it's going to fail here. It was a new and powerful invention, not completely tested and without safeguards. Uh-oh. Missing a period right here. Right there. No period, as you can see. The other delegate shuddered as she spoke. Fears were voiced that with this vehicle, the human mind could quickly burn out. Prometheus was too dangerous. Now, I'm not quite sure about this, but are you supposed to put a comma in every quote at the end of every quotation? Or because she puts a comma right after out, and oh yeah, well, no, I don't think you do. Answer my own question, lovely. So she should have put a period after out and instead of a comma, so that would have been a good solution. Yet all knew that the riddle might be easily solved in this manner, despite the apparent dangers of the experimental mind-space computer. Wait, how would this work? Do ELF waves affect cyberspace in some way that that you will be able to find out where the waves are coming from? Are ELF waves like attracted to cyberspace in some way? Do they damage it in a certain area? Because this bitch obviously believes that cyberspace is a fixed plane of existence that's kind of like Earth, that surrounds the Earth and is a place like the Earth. But that's not true. Cyberspace is basically the colloquial term for the collection of web pages and databases all over the internet. And that is not a place, it's a thing. You can't exactly you can't exactly exist on air. You can't stand on air. It's kind of like that. So I don't know how this could solve the problem. The ELF situation was so perilous that any possibility had to be considered. Therefore, all the delegates voted for a trial one with Prometheus. Okay, apparently they know something I don't. The council decided to schedule the experiments on a remote island where safety and security could be assured. Oh, we're doing this? We're really doing this? Well, let's see how it fails. They needed to see for themselves how the research would work and if it could work. They planned to fly as a group on an independent airline to the island of Haritunia, off the coast of Brazil, the following morning. In the meantime, the council leader suggested that they remain sequestered in the council room for the night in order to maintain tight security. The council members grumbled over this suggestion, but when someone requested that a gourmet dinner be sent in, the delegates appeared to be calmer and more content with their leader's decision. Yeah, just bribe them with food. What could possibly go wrong with this incredibly dangerous and doomed to fail experiment? And why? Just bring them food, of course. They'll settle down. They're all men, you know. The best way to soothe their hearts and brains is through their stomachs, yeah. The meal arrived within an hour and sleep soon followed. The delegates then arose at 6 a.m. and prepared to fly to the island. This is kind of like a schedule, isn't it? This author is kind of making a schedule of the events that are happening in this chapter. The next afternoon, they arrived by charter plane to the paradise island of Heritunia. Okay, it's all of a sudden a paradise island, so think of like those tropical rainforest commercials that make you want to save the rainforest and stuff like that. It's like that. An isolated reef which only extended 3 miles in each direction. Quickly mesmerized by their surroundings, the men were lusting to have the island's specialty, banana daiquiris and sturgeon sandwiches. Okay, yeah, this author definitely believes that the best way to a man's heart and mind is through his stomach. That is not the case. The best way to his stomach is through his stomach. Their dreams were dashed, however, when they were rushed to a meeting room in a shack made of palm fronds, where they encountered a dozen boys and girls already wired up to sensors attached to a wall of computers. Wait. I thought that Prometheus was some sort of completely electronic device that only one person needed to hook up to. Why would you need a dozen children to operate Prometheus? Explain, please? Among the group were observing the experiments were top-level scientists, government officials from around the world, professors of quantum physics, the most capable computer specialists, and a 6-person security force. Only 6 people in security? Aren't they worried that this incredibly rare and powerful machine would be assaulted or destroyed or trying to be taken over for the use of evil? And so, quantum physics. What does quantum physics have to do with the simple hookup to a computer by a human mind? I don't think that requires quantum physics. They're not using any antimatter or anything, are they? There were also several members of the clergy watching the operation. Well, what would the clergy have to do with this? It's just a simple mind-machine hookup. It's not like it's religiously damning or anything. Unless Prometheus could be used to control the entire internet, which would be quite interesting. And very dangerous, as this thing would suggest. But that hasn't been said. And why would anyone let the clergy in? All they're going to do, if they're top level, they're just going to roam around and mess with things. And if they're low level, they're just going to yell and scream and say, "No, God hates you, God hates fags," and all that shit. The actual ALF experiment was planned for the following morning. Human subjects were given preparation in advance so that they projected the right questions to the computers both individually and as a group. Okay, well, this could have been useful when you were explaining what Prometheus was. When it's put here, it's just forced on us that we're supposed to accept even more information about Prometheus after something has already been said in between the two Prometheus explanations. Okay, where was I? Okay, the questions were then transmitted by computer directly into the right brain hemisphere of each subject, who would then write the responses on a pad as she received information from the system. The subjects were understandably nervous about the experiment. Well, why wouldn't they be? And if it was so dangerous, then why the hell are you using children, you monsters? It was believed that it should be extremely injurious to the human brain if not done correctly. Again, why use children? Each subject was asked to sign a release in case there were physical or emotional damage. However, even this released form was not assurance enough for the spectators, who dreaded the onset of the experiment the following day, fearing there could be many casualties among the subjects. The experiment began on a rainy dawn with no sun in sight. The machines were turned on, the human brains became empowered, and the questions were asked. Okay, here we go. Let's see how well this does, shall we? One subject fainted at the outset and had to be dismissed from the experiment. Another felt suicidal. A third asked to leave immediately as he feared temporary or permanent insanity from the research projects. Okay, 3 people have just quit already. Lovely. The remaining subjects stayed attached to the machines for over 2 hours. Then they were ordered to rest. Why not begin your sentences with some more elaborate words? Like, I forget how to do it, but I learned in like a college English class that you're supposed to use very colorful words, like a adjective in the beginning of a sentence of a certain sentence of a paragraph, or a noun phrase at the beginning of another. It's always the or then or it's or another. It's not very creative, and it's certainly effective at boring the reader, which is not something you want to do when you want to make them feel like this is a dramatic and intense situation, because it doesn't seem like that from the way it's happening. The next day, there was a conference to determine the nature of the collective information gained from the experiments. Wait, we just changed time frames within the same paragraph. And it's the beginning of the paragraph, no less. One's first sentence, just 2 hours passed. Second sentence, an undetermined amount of time. And then the third sentence, the next day. That's a huge time skip. Why not put that at the beginning of another paragraph? When the results became known, everyone was in shock. The key to the ELF waves apparently lay on the top of several geographically separated mountain ranges. In these high and remote areas, radioactive crystals embedded in the rock were transmitting vibrations. Okay, that's kind of crazy, but not quite as crazy as the end of the first chapter. One mountain range lay in Central America, another was located in the Pyrenees region of Spain, and the third mountain was apparently part of the Himalayan chain. Well, then why the hell are they affecting the Atlantic only? The Himalayas, aren't they, like, in Asia or something? Aren't they in Central Asia? My geography isn't that good, but yeah, I think they're in Central Asia. Another possibility that emerged from the experiment was the fact that the crystals could be situated underwater or located on a remote island. Oh, of course they're underwater now, because the first chapter made it kind of hinted at the stuff coming from Atlantis. So, yeah, just a brief mention, and she thought that no one would be the wiser. They'd instantly think that the first explanation would be satisfactory. On hearing the results, several expeditions were immediately mounted to investigate the areas that the research team had uncovered. Well, this doesn't sound very effective. What, Prometheus needs some sort of strike force or exploration team to carry out its objectives? And why would you need something like that? You have command over the internet. You could you could shut down the internet in an entire country, or even, well, I guess that's not the problem here, but you could at least hook like a drone or something up to the internet, and then use Prometheus to control the drones. See, it's just not very effective. And why would a highly efficient and complicated computer turn out 3 possible results? Why wouldn't it just be 1? It's just confusing. The council felt reasonably encouraged by the experiments. They had absolutely no premonition of what was to come. Okay. I'll stop here, because I got a feeling it's getting pretty damn long. Yeah, we're about 20 minutes, and I don't want to... Oh! It's the end of the chapter. There was this little thing here, and that's usually inserted in the middle or near the end of a chapter to denote that there's a huge change in setting. So the author does not know how to use that symbol or any kind of symbol for that purpose. So it's the end of the chapter. Nice. Well, it's definitely better in terms of sanity compared to the first chapter, but it's not. It's much worse compared to, well, in terms of stupidity compared to that chapter. So, see ya.